For half a year, I've secretly been working on my old game, rebuilding a lot of it from the ground up and completely redoing all of the artwork. I hated the demo that I released previously, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's take a step back. A year ago, I released a demo for a game that was very sentimental to me. It was to be my pride and joy, telling a story that I have been continuously working on for decades since I was a wee lad, about 12 years old. And finally, when it came time to release the demo out into the world, it flopped, and turned out to be a disappointing failure that put me in a pretty dark state of mind. I was devastated. I took a break because I couldn't even bear to look at it, worried that I had permanently sunk that ship. I tried to satisfy myself with small projects and other hobbies, but none of them are ever as special as your first love. I spent about a year away from it, using the time to clear my head and analyze what happened. But now, I'm ready to dust myself off and give it another go. Except this time, there are going to be some very big changes. So what happened? Simply put, I made a big mistake. One of the worst mistakes that any game developer can make. I gave myself a deadline long before I knew when it was going to be done. Even before the first devlog, which is just laughably naive, given that it was in development for less than a month at that point. What started out as a simple little game that I could make in a few months quickly turned into a multi-year gigantic project that I've been wanting to make ever since I started game development. When the deadline finally arrived, the demo was technically playable, but missing everything that I wanted to include. It was underdeveloped, unpolished, and simply was not ready. Despite this, I didn't delay the release because of how I am. I knew that if I delayed it, then I'd just keep kicking that can down the road due to my semi-perfectionism. I mean, I have been working on this very devlog for at least half a year, trying to get it perfect. So instead, I just tossed it out there, figuring I'd patch it up as I went, and well, we see what happened. Thankfully, this is not where my story ends. For the past several months, I have been working on the project in secret. At first, I didn't tell anyone about it, not even my beloved Discord community, because it was more of a guilty pleasure of mine. I updated them on the progress of ReQuest, which is still in development, showing them the new enemies and items that I was working on, but every now and then I would gleefully sneak off to my little corner and work on the project alone. And honestly, I really enjoyed this. Even now I miss it. There's something cathartic about working on a game without the pressure of having to show it off or talk about it. Everything was great. Life was peaceful, I was having fun, except every now and then one of my mods would say, "You could work," excuse me. I've always imagined Marrero as having a squeaky toy-like voice, so just bear with me here. "You can work on Zone the Cursed Dreamer once a week." And I would brush it off, like, could you imagine? Until finally I confessed that I actually do work on the project periodically. Unfortunately, it just so happens that I was posting random updates in my devlog channel about an unknown project that I was doing just for fun. It didn't take long for them to put the pieces together and realize that I was actually working on Zone the Cursed Dreamer. This isn't just a light reboot, however. I closed the door on that old project over a year ago and I haven't looked at it since. Instead, I've decided to start over with a fresh project because I have a lot of big changes planned and I don't want them to be hindered by having to slog through an old project, dealing with the breakage that my changes are going to introduce. I am porting over the old code, however, so this isn't a major setback, but I think a fresh start is exactly what I need. I'm going to be doing this as a new devlog series because just everything is so dramatically different. This is nice because due to just how long it took me to make the old combat system, and the fact that I decided to go ahead and get it out of the way, working on it early in development, people seem to think this is an action-heavy game, which could not be further from the truth. When I made the design document for this game, combat wasn't even one of the design pillars. And if I were to list the top 20 features of the game, combat would not make that list either. I don't care about the combat. It's only there because running through the dungeons and gathering loot would be a whole different experience if there was nothing there to guard the loot. I could actually release this game without the combat and be happy about it. I'm the type of person that just runs by the enemies in Zelda games because I'd rather explore the world, looking for holes in the ground, characters to meet in secret areas. My only goal with combat is to make it so that it's not boring. Beyond that, the game is going to focus on a whole lot of other mechanics. That said, a lot of people praise the combat in the old demo, and if the combat looks as though it's a lot of fun, then that should tell you how much effort I am willing to put into a mechanic that I don't even care about. I'll be putting even more effort into the features that matter to the game, like the NPC story arcs, explorations, and hobbies like cheese crafting and enchanting. The good news is, I did expect combat to be one of the most time-consuming aspects of development. The viral video that I made on my AI systems was actually the culmination of many years of development across multiple projects to achieve. Nothing else in the game is going to require that much effort, and that's simply because AI is so damn difficult. Well then, if the game isn't an action-packed combat simulator, then what is it? Zone the Cursed Dreamer is a sandbox RPG with slice-of-life gameplay. My biggest inspiration is the Elder Scrolls series. I will sometimes describe it as a pixel art Elder Scrolls game with exploration inspired by Link to the Past that plays as a darker, more gritty Animal Crossing game. Stardew Valley would actually be a more apt comparison here, but that would lead to people to think of it as a farming simulator, which is not accurate. The game has farming, there's also farming in the Elder Scrolls. You're probably not going to spend too much time farming in Zone of Cursed Dreamer. You absolutely could though, I'm not going to stop you. And you could make money off of it for sure. There's even a farming plot you can purchase later on in the game if you want to go ham on that mechanic. That is entirely up to you. It is a sandbox and I want you to play it however you want to play it. And that right there is the key. I want you to play this game how you want to play it. Do you want to become a renowned blacksmith, forming legendary weapons from rare materials for the heroes of the land? Do you want to play as a humble farmer, growing food for the local village? Or do you want to become a powerful mage, a dedicated student of the Mages Guild in Bessemer Keep, or a dark mage, succumbing to the taboo side of magic and learning the forbidden arts? The game is about role-playing as your character, exploring a cozy open world, and forging meaningful relationships with NPCs. That is another big thing. NPCs are even mentioned twice in my 3D game design pillars. I love NPCs in games. I love their stories, their flaws, watching them learn and become better, or worse, due to their experiences throughout the game. And I will be spending a lot of time developing them and their stories. Thankfully, the combat is pretty much done for now, which means I can start working on all those mechanics that are actually important to me. But first, I needed to change a few things to make development easier for myself. One of these changes is ironically the one that I'm most excited for. I'm certain that veteran viewers of mine noticed it as soon as the video started. I have redrawn the art to use a 16:16 resolution. While I love my iconic 24:24 pixel art, it is so much work. And with the game already being as massive and overscoped as it is, having a large cast of unique characters, different seasons throughout the year, magical spells, weapons, character customization, enchanting, smithing, cheese crafting, and so on, it's a lot of work for a solo developer. And ever since I started working in the 16:16 resolution, I have really enjoyed making the art, which is unusual for me. I even got around to doing the front and back animations for some of the characters like Player, Madcatter, and Claire, which I'm really proud of. I had planned to do this before in the old demo because I don't like how using only side animations look. It was a temporary thing I did to cut down on the amount of art that I needed for what was essentially a prototype, which you're going to see a lot of in this devlog series. Game developers do a lot of placeholder things throughout development because it's more important to get the rough concept down first and then polish it later on down the road. This devlog series is not an accurate depiction of the final state of the game. This is a glimpse into the process of making a game, and everything is subject to change. For all I know, this could turn into a text adventure in 2 months. But since I have the animations now, I made it so that the player actually holds their item properly as they move about, which I love. Unfortunately, it did take me a long time to make these animations. It would have taken me even longer, given that the game has an extensive amount of character customization. However, I made a little tool for myself that allows me to generate animations for my characters using only a few sprites. I may talk about this more in a future video, so ding-a-ling that bell if you want to get notified for it. Not only did I get around to doing the facing directions proper, but I've redone the method of attack animations as well. That was another prototyping thing that I quickly threw together. It's something that I've been doing for several years in my game jams because it's really quick and easy to implement. It took me maybe half an hour to throw it together, much faster than manual animation. And which I actually get asked about a lot, if other developers can use it in their games, and I encourage you to do so. There are a lot of games out there that do this already because it's easy to do and gives you a lot of control and customization during combat. It is like the wall jumping of modern top-down action games. That said, I actually don't like how it looks, mainly because I don't like the rotated pixel art or how smooth it is. I try to keep things looking pretty retro, avoiding a modern aesthetic. I want this to feel like a Super Nintendo game for the most part. But I love working with rotation. It's something that I've done for over like a decade or more. But I hate how it looks with pixel art. And I hated taking screenshots of the old game because of this. Instead, I'm doing something similar, except instead of tweening the attack animations, I'm creating dynamic animations inside of the animation player, which gives me the best of both worlds. I can customize things such as the attack range, how broad the swipe is, how far the sword is drawn back, how much to overshoot the animation after the attack, and so on, which I can change on a per weapon basis, meaning that a hammer can be drawn back further and have a much larger overshoot to really make it feel more impactful versus an agile sword. But now it's animated in such a way that it fits better with the rest of the pixel art. It's not pixel perfect, but it's good enough. I'm actually thankful for having gone through that whole ordeal because I learned a lot of valuable things from it that I would rather learn now than later, like releasing the game when it could have actually ruined the project. The main thing that I learned is to just take your time with game development. Don't give yourself a deadline too early. You're going to get asked about it a lot. Just say that you don't know yet. And now that I have just as much time as I want to work on the game, I've created a new Kickstarter, which I might have another go at soon. I don't know when it's going to launch yet, so go ahead and follow the page now so that you get notified when it does. If you want to support the project before the Kickstarter, then you can buy my Mystic Woods asset pack on itch.io. There's a free sample that you can try, and leaving a comment and rating would mean a lot to me. Thank you to all the patrons that support my work, and I'll talk to you next time. Oh, and Request is still being developed. Mechanically speaking, it's done. I just need to add a ton of comment to it and polish it up. I'll put some more information in the pinned comments below. Just lots of stuff down there. Click all of it.